Hey, welcome to the Cultural Mindset Podcast. This is your host, Patrick Kapiamba, with my wonderful co-host,
Kingsley from Nigeria. Oh, I'm outnumbered today. Ain't that something?
And yeah, we got you outnumbered here today. Is Congolese over here. We representing here. We have special guests from Toronto, Canada, representing here.
The six?
Please go 6. My goodness. Please, starting from the left, please introduce yourself and where you're from.
I'm Nene. I'm joking. It's Naomi. I am from Toronto. I'm Congolese.
I'm Sephora, also from Toronto. I'll say greater Toronto area so you guys don't come for me in the comments. But yeah, Sephora from Toronto.
Oh, yeah, and I'm Michael. Also from Greater Toronto area as well, and I'm pretty mixed, so Jamaican, a little Chinese, Indian as well, so pretty much a melting pot out in Toronto.
I thought you said these people are Africans.
They are African, my brother. They're African.
She said she's from Canada. This one says she's from Canada. So where are the African people?
I don't know. Where y'all from? Represent. Let the people know.
We're from Congo. The thing is, that's actually interesting that I guess we'll go into detail about that, is that we in Canada, like, we just kind of say where we're from. It's our background. Even if you're not born there, you represent your background.
Okay. That's a good. Okay, so let me ask you. So why don't you say I'm from Congo? Why do you say Canada? Like, why do you represent Canada first before Congo?
When coming here, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question.
Because at least for myself, I feel like when I come here, I know that I'm from Canada. Like, that's where I'm born, that's where I'm raised. But when I'm in Canada, everyone knows I'm in Canada. We care about where I'm coming from, my background. Like, it's not really that offensive, I'll say, to say, like, oh, what's your background? Like, we ask each other that all the time. So it's like, I'll say I'm from Congo because that's what they care about. We all know I'm in Canada.
I agree. I think if I'm coming to the US or outside of Canada, I'll say I'm Canadian. But when I'm at home in Canada, I'll say I'm Congolese. Everyone in Canada is from somewhere, and so we'll say where we're from. It's really hard that you'll see someone say that they're Canadian. Even the white, like Italians, Portuguese, the white-looking Spanish, Hispanics will say where they're from before they say they're Canadian, from my experience.
Really? Is that the same, Mike? Would you say similarity, like y'all represent what? How do y'all do it?
Yeah, I would say so too. For sure. Like if I'm away from country, I'll say yeah, definitely Canadian. A lot of people know Canada. It's also, they say it's like one of the best passports to have as well, because just everyone loves Canadians. We're known as like peacemakers. So yeah, for sure. It's a definitely a country to rep. We're proud to be Canadian, but also we got deeper roots past Canada as well. So
we don't forget where we're from.
No, I can't forget.
I know Americans sometimes you guys could be a little lost, but we know where we're from.
Dang, taking shots. Okay, so let me ask you then. So do you think coming from Toronto and moving over here to, not moving, but actually one is actually moving here. Congratulations, both bride to be. So let's go ahead and give a shout out.
Shout out to the A.
I had to get that going. Shout out. That was a long one. My bad. So shout out. So you're moving to Atlanta.
A-Town. Is that what you guys still call it these days?
Like in 2006.
2006.
You might as well the A-Town stomp.
ATL now?
Yeah, ATL.
Okay.
Is there a lot of, I don't know if there's anybody out there, is there a lot of Congolese people over there at ATL? I don't know. Nigerians, is there a lot of Nigerians at ATL?
Yes, y'all we're everywhere. If you go anywhere in the US and if you don't see Nigerians,
something is wrong.
Something is wrong.
Even in Canada. Y'all are everywhere. You guys are deep.
We dominate.
Deep.
But I love my Nigerian people.
Do you, huh?
Nigerian. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Okay. Well, I guess Naomi, how do you feel about moving here? Maybe do you think that some of your cultural differences might change now that you're coming to Atlanta? What are some differences you're expecting? Talk a little bit.
Yeah, I think there'll be cultural differences for sure. I think there's an overarching, like, we're still North Americans. Like, we still have similar lifestyles. Like, in terms of that, culturally, nothing will change. I think it's just the American culture that I'll have to kind of, like, assimilate to. You see it on TV all the time, and now it's like, sometimes I just, like, even when I was going to work, I'm like, wow, like, this is how people really are in real life. What you see on TV, it's like, not all, obviously, but, like,
What are you seeing on TV about America?
No,
mass shootings.
I didn't see that. But just like the personhood, like the Southern hospitality. Like I was at a like an event with my fiance, and I was just sitting there because I didn't know anyone. And then the ladies like, oh hey girl, like they weren't calling me girl because they were older women, but like, oh yeah, like they're just so like, I don't know, they're so friendly, so American. Like it's just, I don't know. But in terms of cultural stuff that I'll have to deal with, I think is just, like, I think what will be interesting will be like when it comes to raising kids.
Okay.
I think for now, it'll be okay. I think, but I think it'll be interesting when it comes to raising kids.
Okay, to raising kids. So what's the interesting part? Do you think like they'll inherit some of our cultural values, or will they maybe, do you think they'll forget? Because that's one thing we often talk about, me and Kenzie, is like, what do we carry on to the next generation and instilling them culturally? So what do you think? Moving to America, less cultured, more American, what do you think?
I think they would be probably more American because it's kind of like I'm basically an immigrant now. It's like coming in as like how our parents did. Like their dad, my future husband, he's American. So yes, he grew up pretty Congolese in Congolese household, but he's also like has outside American influence too. So he has like duals, and because we're both not directly from Congo, it's like I wouldn't say watered down Congolese culture, but to a sense, it'll be a bit watered down, and I think it might be even more watered down because it's like we're second generation, so it's that fear of like, okay, I have to make sure like what are we going to pass down aside from like the food. It's like even the language, I don't really speak the language like that too. So,
so we struggling. Kenzie, this is where Kenzie look at us like shameful.
I have so many questions, but I'm holding it in.
Yeah.
I'm trying to hold it in.
No, we want to go in. So let's talk to people who already, this is a married couple. Let's give it up one more time.
Shout out to the married couple.
Celebrate their anniversary tomorrow.
7 years.
7 years tomorrow.
7 years. 7 years. That's amazing. So two different cultures bringing together, have two wonderful, wonderful daughters. Explain to me a little bit of being second generation or what you pass down to kids culturally that you want to stay. I know, taking aside religion, I know we want to pass down religion. Obviously, we're Christian and things like that. But what, as far as culturally, do we feel like we want to pass down as far as y'all?
I think already, like, I pass some of my culture to my kids, the way they dress, the music that we listen to at home. Like today we were out and I put them in their, Congolese jerseys. They know that they're Congolese. I tell them that they're Congolese all the time. I'll be like, that mommy's Congolese, daddy's Jamaican, daddy's all these things. So they know the Congolese music. They know the food. And my oldest, she loves fufu. She likes spondu every time she asks me. Yeah. And so I think Mike and I can't speak for Mike, but we do a good job to really teach them where they're from. And in 2022, we had the opportunity to go back home. I went for the first time. I went with Mikey and the kids, and so we got to show them. And I think we do a good job to let them know where they're from.
Mm.
Yeah, and I'll say I could probably be doing much of a better job, just in terms of like sharing, my side of the culture with them. Where I am is essentially like, since I'm so mixed. Growing up, right, there's different influences, but both of my parents were born and raised in London, England. So I found they've lost a lot of their culture, right? They're both born there. And so even though I know, like, I'm Jamaican and, a bunch of my family, Jamaica speak patois. I've lived there forever. My grandfather there has land and legacy land passed through generations.
Oh, wow.
It's me making sure I'm doing a good job to, educate myself and share with my children. So they know, again, that, dad's side is Jamaican. Because I would say I resonate with, the Jamaican culture more than I would say Indian or Chinese. But I would say just I could probably be doing a better job kind of sharing with them. Even talking about cooking, right? I want to make sure I can teach them how to cook certain foods, right? Jerk chicken and oxtail and all that. But I always rely on the older generation, right, to do that for me. So it's something I need to make sure I learn so I can pass it to my children as well.
Yeah.
Can I say one thing?
Please do.
I identify so much with my culture that both my girls' names, I didn't give them a Congolese name. And I tell this to Mike all the time, like, oh, I wish I could go back and like add that name in, because when they're going to go back to Congo, I need people to know that these girls look mixed. So when they're going to go, they're going to be lost and people are going to take advantage. But they need to know that when they talk to people, oh no, these girls are Congolese. Like, we can't play with them. We know. So it's really important for me that they know who they are.
I know Kinsey got a lot of questions. But
yeah, shoot, we're ready to hear.
From a Nigerian perspective, listening to Congolese, Jamaican, because I got a lot of questions too. But
he's thinking we're watered down Congolese. That's what he's thinking.
I don't even know where to start. Who do I start with?
Just shoot.
Yeah.
So watered down Congo culture. Why didn't you? When I asked you earlier, why do you identify as a Canadian, but you want to push Congo culture? Why do you say I'm Canadian first rather than I'm Congolese? That's what I was trying to find out. So, and then you mentioned the watered down Congo culture, but then you're claiming to be Canadian. Do you think that's contradicting?
I don't think so, because that's how it is in Toronto, in Canada. Like, you're both. You're not, like, I from what I understand, when you're in America, you're American. For us, we're not. We are Canadian, but we're Canadian something. Like, you have your citizenship, you have your flags if it's Canada Day, you know what not, but like, I'm forever Congolese, you know, but it's just.
Do you speak, what do Congo speak, French?
French is the national, but like, our like traditional languages or like native tongue is like, at least for our tribe, it's Chiluba, Lingala. Okay. Do I speak it?
Do you speak?
I do. You know,
Patrick,
barely.
How do you say
they're trying to come after me. I speak my native tongue.
Patrick, how do you say what day it is today?
I got exposed. I'm sorry.
So do you speak your the native tongue?
I can understand a lot of it. Yeah. I can say a few words. A little one too, I could say.
And I listen to the music and sometimes understand it too. And I know how to do the dances, to eat the food, but the language is just lacking.
Yeah.
So, and my brother, so you're Jamaican, you're not really.
Yeah, so like the patois, again, I can understand it, but in terms of speaking it, yeah, not really.
So what do you want to pass down from the Jamaican culture? I know you said the food, the culture. So like, when you take your daughters there, what do you want them to like get the most out of when they go there, as far as heritage and things like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would just say, Jamaican people, guys, if you know Jamaican people, they're very strong culture, very proud, right? Very proud of where they come from. And my dad puts it this way, like, Jamaican people have like a lion spirit, So that and I think it just goes to kind of knowing who you are and your confidence in who you are and your identity. So that's really, I would say, the main thing. Just be confident in who you are. Know your identity, and I think as you walk with that confidence, knowing, even just knowing, like, on the Jamaican side, they are very resilient people. Very resilient, very tough, very strong, and a very proud nation. So I would say, just that, and knowing who they are.
Sure. Follow-up question: Do Jamaicans consider themselves like I know probably African descent, but do they like consider themselves like as a people? Yeah, we're African, or do they say no, we're Caribbean? From your experience,
I would say, from my experience, I say Caribbean, but for sure, right? If you go back to kind of the roots, I'd say Caribbean. They'll claim to be Caribbean people, but obviously we know, like, from Africa, right, originally. So.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So how many times have y'all gone back to Congo? Once.
I feel like I'm born in Congo sometimes. The way I represent.
I feel like you're born in Congo.
No, like the way I rep Congo sometimes, I feel like for the longest time until I went, it was like I was, you rep it so hard, you're like, wow, I called even back home and all these things. But all that to say, I've been once. But I did my traditional wedding there. So I felt like I really had the roots in Congo.
Yeah, you making me want to go back home and get my roots right.
I would go back, but I also think we have an excuse. Because
what's the excuse? That's what I want to hear. What's the excuse?
You know what? I will say, because, and I could be wrong, it's just based on my personal experience, I've noticed that a lot of, at least, Congolese kids are the African kids that had gone to back home the least. If like, you see a Nigerian, they probably went back home multiple times. See a Ghanaian, they went back home multiple times. But Congolese kids, oftentimes the ones that I've encountered, either have never been or they left and never went back.
Yeah.
Or they just,
I agree.
And I will say, not to make excuses, but there's been a lot of turmoil in Congo. So if you don't know, make sure you look into that. But there's just been a lot, and I think that's a big excuse as to why. So when things got better, that's when we went.
Yeah, Nigeria is not better.
It's a lot better. Yeah. There's not dictatorship.
You don't think Nigeria is better than Congo? Their situation,
as far as safety, that's what you mentioned, right?
No, in terms of like the states,
economic development,
is terrible.
Well, we have like genocide, war. We had dictator. We had all these. It's just corruption. I know corruption is just pretty much rampant. Yeah, but in terms of,
is that not a good enough excuse, Kinsley? Yeah. Man, can we get mercy?
Not enough for me.
I
haven't even started yet.
It's probably even also cheaper to go to Nigeria than it is to Congo. We're a little further. Just saying.
Okay, give me one.
Last I checked, it was about 1,000, 1,200, something like that.
1,000 what?
1,200
to go where?
And that's on
Congo.
low season. Peak season.
Cheap.
Peak season, you're looking
at. The economy is hard, man.
I spent $2,000 to go to Nigeria. Easy.
You probably buy your ticket the week before.
Pay my ticket too. Don't stop at you.
Yeah. So okay. So you once.
I went once. Yes.
Once. Okay. So when you think of Africa or Congo, how do you see it? Do you see it as home, or is it a place that I want to visit sometimes?
Good question.
Or I don't really care. How do you look at it?
Personally, I see it as home.
Okay.
Because my parents, I see it as home because my parents growing up, my parents were very involved in politics and they always showed us what Congo is, talked to us about what Congo would be like. And when I went there, I was a little bit culturally shocked. Like I had a bit of shock seeing, being on the ground and seeing how people live and everything. But a lot of things didn't surprise me because my parents grew up telling us what it was like. And so I see it as home. I tell Mikey all the time, like, wow, like, can you envision us living here? I think it's it's the land of opportunities.
These Canadians be lying, bro. They ain't no peacemakers.
I don't think it's not going to be easy, but there's, I feel like the market here is saturated for entrepreneurship, but there's so much opportunity in Congo. The cultural mindset will be really hard to, I think, to adjust and work there because, things are a lot slower there compared to here. The structure and organization is different, but there's so much opportunity. A lot of families there. I see it as home. Honestly, I do. It's comfort. When I went there, I felt comfort. I felt like, wow, like these are my people. You're hearing the language. I love them. I love that. Can I see myself living there forever? No. So yes, I will go and visit and come back because I'm married now and my husband's a foreigner. So obviously and he'll speak for himself. It was
we about to go there.
Different experience.
Mike got a whole different experience. I got a whole different experience. It ain't always lovely. We're gonna tell the truth here.
I think it's home. I think it's home
too. I think a big part of why it's also home when I went there is because my parents were there, and it made it very homey and like everything was cared for, which is great. But now I'm thinking, like, as you were talking, like if my parents were to no longer be there, we do have family, but the ties might not be as like strong. So that home feeling, like, yes, I'll still feel like it's Congo, because it's true. When you go on the plane to go to, like, at least for me, when I was in Belgium all the way to Congo, like, you start hearing the language, you're like, wow, like, we're going home. You hear all the mamas, the papas, they're talking. You're like, wow, this is great. So it does feel nice. You look around, you're like, man, these are all, like, we're all Congolese.
Right.
It's just like, wow. Yeah. So that part is nice. But in terms of, like, the ties, I think once my parents, like, are no longer there, I think that might change.
That's what we want to say. Yeah. Parents no longer there.
Yeah.
You're going to go there talking about it's home.
I don't
think
it's going to
feel like home if your parents are no longer.
The country will be home, but like the emotional
connection. There's no connection.
Yeah, there won't be no connection.
So you don't have a connection to Congo. It's just because of your parents are there.
No,
they kept you
our
grounded.
blood. Yeah, they kept us grounded. They kept us.
So when they're not gonna be here forever, just like you said. So what are you gonna do after they're not here anymore? What are you gonna?
I would still go.
That's why I'm saying we need to go frequently so that we can know. I don't know all my aunties and uncles there, so and I don't know what their intentions would be, if I'd be taken advantage of and everything. That's why it was home, because our parents were there. When they leave, truthfully, Naomi, I don't know if
I would still go. Because I mean, that's always been my desire. Like when I have kids, like if the Lord provides, like every year, every other year, it would be nice to at least go. Like we still have some cousins, like some first cousins that, and I say first because I know that Africans don't really go by their first, second, third, but like our direct cousins who are still there and they're still cool. So I would still, I would like to keep going because I want to make sure that my kids would be able to see that and to, it's nice.
Let's get the foreigner's opinion. Let's get my brother Mikey's opinion. So you went there as a foreigner. Yep. You can be real. This is a podcast where we're real. Yeah. If you want to call it hell on site,
I'm gonna come for you.
If you want to call it some flies in your face, look, I went there and it wasn't like, as they're saying, home.
No, it wasn't heavenly.
They call me
good.
Heavenly. It's far from heavenly. It's almost touching the bottom angle. So like when I went back, they call me Le Congolese perdu. Hey, and what that means, that means the lost Congolese.
Oh, does that mean the N-word for the?
Yeah, they could have called me that. They should have. Wow. They could have called me that. They called me the lost Congolese. And I walked around, hey, Le Congolese perdu. I started thinking that's my name. They're like, what's your name? Le Congolese perdu.
Wow, what your people do you like
well,
that?
Well, they do me like that. Them niggas just pointed at me. I said, they knew I was a foreigner, bro. It was tough. But let's go from a real foreigner's perspective. Mike, how was it for you when you went back?
Yeah. So I would say a lot of times I was kind of like on the outside looking in just because I don't even speak French, right? Like very, very elementary. I can catch some words, but so it was great. Like family wise, like we were able to visit so much family, so much hospitality. That was great. But a lot of times, just personally, just because of the language barrier, I'm there, shaking my head, nodding. Oh yeah, and again, was thankful for the hospitality. But a lot of times, I was not even really in the conversation. So that's why sometimes it's a little tough because again, I felt like I was on the outside looking in. Now in terms of like my whole experience there, there are some really great parts of Congo. Really, nice businesses, nice restaurants, and we were able to really enjoy ourselves there, right? So we had a good time. In terms of like everything else, so obviously I would say, infrastructure, right? Like in terms of like, roads and driving and for example, like garbage disposal, there are things that obviously there's much to be improved, and it's understandable, right? We understand that, dictatorship, we understand, it's such a rich country, right, resource-wise, but it's sad. Like in my perspective, it's sad to see that the Congolese people, not all of them, but like the majority, are struggling. When I feel they should be well off. But my perspective going there, could I live there long term? No, because it really made me think of my, I guess, the luxuries, right, I have back at home. It's like, man, like I don't have to deal with, this dust. I don't have to deal with these things. Like it's just I press a button and it's done. Whereas, so in my perspective, I would say, again, it so much there is, as my wife Sephora says, so much opportunity. I think like business opportunity to improve Congo, and that's I think what the feeling was that I left with is like, man, like there could be so much done here, right, to improve this country. So that was my experience. Yeah.
On the way back home on the train, him and I got in a little bit of argument because I was like, so how was your experience and everything? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, while the kids are still young, I think it would be a good opportunity for us to move here and then before they get into school and everything. And I was really disappointed that he didn't have the experience that I had. I was like, wow, this is home. I felt insulted. Like, I was like, this is a slap in the face.
She was bent.
I was really upset that he didn't not that he didn't and I understand it. We had to have several conversations, be like, he's not from there. The culture is very different, but that's how much I love Congo, that if someone doesn't like it, I get offended.
Wow. So why would you get offended as your husband for not liking Congo? I mean,
because I almost felt it's like, so you, not that you don't love me, but it was like, I was like, I'm Congolese. What do you mean you don't like? I kept like, you don't see the opportunities, like, we.
Right. The eyes were shut.
Yeah. I mean, you get mad at him before. I'm couples
no,
therapy.
But I understand now.
Therapy. No, I don't want to do therapy.
We're good.
I understand. It's like if I were to go, I've been to Jamaica a little bit on the nicer part of things, so maybe that doesn't really count. But if I were to go to India right now, I can't say that, pick up and leave my family here to go to India. So I understand. Yeah. It took a few conversations, but I was a little upset.
I would have sided with Mike because when I went, I don't know. Their story is so foreign to me.
It was like outside with Mike too.
But it's hard for somebody to go to such a foreign country and then all of a sudden, like I had to go twice just to get the first experience out the way because it's so shocking. Now I think they were with their parents. I went with my cousins and everything, so we were there for a wedding and it was a lot, but it was just too much to take in because I don't know if it's like this in Nigeria, but one thing you see in the people's eyes that you're just not accustomed to seeing is misery. Like you see misery over there. Now let's be real, we party too. I ain't gonna act like Congo just like that. We party, have a good time. I drank me some beer and ate a goat. They cooked it right in front of me. You know what I'm saying? Congo, that's how it wasn't bad, but it's just like really like Mikey said, a shock. Like you're not gonna see them kill a goat and then feed it to you and cook it and spice it up. Like it was foreign and it was outside too. So it's just it's a little bit different when you go back there and you try to get used to it. It's hard to see different opportunities the first go around. So you probably do have to go back multiple times, I think.
She saw the opportunities the first time, right?
Yeah, I think you have.
She saw.
Give me one opportunity you saw.
Well,
I can't say real estate.
Real estate.
Yeah.
Real estate.
Real estate. You
That was
have
the
to
biggest one y'all saw?
You have to have capital. You have to have capital to start, but not even that. Like
There's so much.
people are so resourceful over there, selling water on the streets, and I think the possibilities are endless. And coming from a privileged place, we can have the capital to source something and start something. There's so much opportunity.
And I think even like more than just that, if you even look, like Michael said, the garbage disposal, there's barely any. Like from what I've seen,
That's true.
There might be some kind of system, but it's not obvious. Something like that, but also something like that requires a lot of money to get started. So it's like there's a lot of opportunities you can, not to say that they have to have a similar lifestyle as us here in like North America, but to have more advancements, you know what I mean? But you also, as a business person going in, you can't just come in with a couple $1,000s. You have to come in with like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I think the key though is like the people who do business there need to give back to the Congolese communities.
You got
because I think what we saw, there's a lot of foreigners coming making money and just is not coming back to Congo, and so it does Congo disservice. Yeah.
Is it that way in Nigeria too? Y'all got foreigners over there taking advantage. Who y'all got over there?
I think that's the whole Africa.
Africa. Who do you see most of the time there? Like we got Chinese.
Yeah, they got Chinese over there.
Lebanese.
Yeah, they have Chinese. They have. I mean,
Arabs.
I think majority of Africa has a very strong Chinese influence.
Really? Even
They
Nigeria?
have Chinese hospital in Lagos, Nigeria.
Really?
Chinese Chinatown. I mean, Chinatown is everywhere.
There's a
really.
Chinatown in
Yeah.
Nigeria?
Yeah, in Lagos. Yeah.
Is there a Chinatown in
I
Congo?
don't know.
I don't
Kinshasa?
know. I wonder.
I would think
Hey,
maybe.
I ain't gonna lie. That's worse than Congo. So Nigeria, I ain't gonna lie.
Y'all don't want, yeah.
Chinatown in Africa. That's you confused if you got dropped there in the middle of nowhere. Won't even know you African, man. Golly.
So, so do y'all have properties over there? Any type of investments, properties, house?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, so
Yeah,
No,
they
I
do.
mean our
Yeah, y'all
parents,
do.
our moms have land.
No, they have inheritance.
They have inheritance. No, but our parents have property.
Yeah, they got.
Yeah.
Our parents got property, but
property.
we're waiting for it to be.
for it to pass
The
that.
past, but
Yeah,
you know,
nothing
it's-
directly like
nothing-
we went and purchased. No.
No.
Why
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
you go and purchase now? Go and
We
purchase
can
now.
go and
Yeah,
purchase.
go
You're
and
right.
purchase now.
You're right.
So-
But I think, if I'm honest, I think the language for me would be probably a barrier too, because it's also hard to make. Already from what I see, to have like business going with the people back and forth, it's not as easy as having business here. Like you have to deal with people building on top of the property that you had because you're not there, so you have to be fighting for that land. It's just a lot
Yeah,
of like
yeah.
headaches
I
of back
know.
and forth. So it's just like
To invest, I think to like invest there, we would have to be there like longer, right? To be able to understand where and
The
like
money's
what's
going
good
in.
and
Yeah.
exactly. Understand a little bit more of just the processes and how to kind of get started. The good thing is we do have an advantage with like Safar and Naomi's parents both being there. But for me, like I invest where I know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like where I'm
Right.
comfortable, where I know the rules, and so that's really the main reason. I'd say
Yeah.
right now at least.
So what was when y'all went to Congo? What was the first thing that made you uncomfortable? The first thing that you noticed that was
The roads.
just uncomfortable.
the driving. That was trippy for me still. The driving and seeing the pollution of the cars, because it's sad. Like you see the big trucks are coming out with like the black smoke, and you're like, man, You it's like you could put the AC and then the smoke goes there. You could open the windows and then the smoke goes through the windows. So it's like it's a big L either way. So that for me was like
either way you
like,
smoke and smoke.
Yeah, it's just like every day this is what they're going through health wise. I was like, man, like it was just sad for me. On top of that, I think what made me the most uncomfortable is everybody asking for money for every little thing, like opening the door for you for money. I remember when we went to the airport, the security guy who's checking our luggage is like, "Can I have some money?" I didn't understand what you said, and then I said money, and he's like, "Yeah, money," and I'm like, "You're just doing your job. I don't want to give you money just for doing your job." So I think just like being like. I didn't even want to wear my real rings there because it's like, they're gonna see that I,
got money.
Yeah, I got
money.
You
go that big thing, that blonde. That's all.
No, but just things like that. Like I don't know that I would.
Yeah.
You can't because you don't know people's intentions. So just that made me really uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'd say the same two things for me. First was the driving and the roads. Chaos. That's all. That's the word to explain. It's just chaos.
Organized chaos.
Not even organized. no, literally.
It wasn't organized.
It's a little scary.
Order in disorder.
Yeah. Cars on the wrong side. Like, whoa! And everyone's so calm. I was like, guys, are you seeing this right now? So for me, that was like, whoa! Like I mean, I consider myself like a driver, but
you couldn't drive over there.
I mean, I could, but stress, bro. I'd be stressed. So I
would hit somebody. And I'll keep driving too.
And I think even the vehicles, motorcycles, cyclists, everybody shares the same space, and then they communicate with the honking. There's a lot of honking. So
they communicate with the honking.
With the honking, and I think there's a lot of what we would call road rage in the U.S. Over there is nothing. It's like it's normal.
That's being polite over there. And the pedestrians, everyone's. The little bike, motorcycles, everyone is...
Windows got to be up too, watch your valuables.
And the fact that, like, over here, it's the pedestrians' right of way, but over there, it's like you're a hazard. Yeah. No one cares that you're in the way. They're just going to run you over and, get out of my way. Whereas here, it's
like... You got to point at me, damn, my sister.
Because you said that you would drive and not...
But that's what I saw. Monkey see, monkey do. I do what they did.
Okay, so do we think we can... Children. So, do we think that kind of environment is conducive for raising children? What about the kids back there?
I was saying no. The reason, another thing I saw when I went to Congo was, I noticed after like a few days, I'm like, hey, like where do the kids play here? Because I didn't see like any park. I mean, maybe in Gombe I saw like one park, but I'm like, man, like I don't know where we are. Like you can find a park on like every block. There's a park everywhere. Safe. Place for kids to play, playgrounds. Whereas I didn't notice that there, and it's dangerous because like if kids are on the road, and same thing, the conditions of the roads are tough, and cars is so I would be really reluctant to raise my child there because where are you gonna play, right? And that's kids got to play, right? That's how you go. They say at risk play is good for kids to kind of just develop and learn, and so. That's a little too at risk, though. So,
So what is I've heard so many bad things about Congo today. Like I've never.
Actually, that's a good question. What is your good thing for Africans, other Africans, to that South African girl who didn't know Congo exists? We're gonna get you back on the show and charge you. You know who I'm talking about.
She asked, "What is Congo?
What is Congo? Where are y'all from? Like I never met a Congolese.
And she's South African.
I never met a South African.
Go watch the first episode.
First episode we ever uploaded.
First episode.
She's putting her on blast right now.
Yeah, that won't hurt. But what is y'all's perspective of Congo? And because you say you never heard any good things.
No, based on what you guys are saying.
No,
based on what you're saying.
Before anything that we said,
this is that is bad. This and that. So I was gonna ask. So what's the good thing?
What's the
good thing?
That's a good way to conclude. Yeah. We got to end on good, positive things for Congo. We got to represent. I ain't bring y'all here to bash Congo.
Because if one of our brothers in Nigeria wants to marry a
Congolese woman,
he wants to know what's the good thing that comes from Congo.
That's a good way. That's a good way to conclude. Yeah. All right, we got to say what's a good thing.
Can I go?
Yes,
I think Congolese people are very resourceful. I think they're very intelligent people. Especially the Muluba tribe. I don't want to be tribalistic, but they're very intelligent people. Congolese people, all tribes they're very resourceful. It's a beautiful country. I think it's very what's the word you said? They're hospitable. I think Congolese people are very hospitable. They're very proud of the music. I know Afrobeat is this big thing, but before Afrobeat, let's not forget
where music really came from.
To speak on it.
That's
Speak
right.
on it.
I like French music. I ain't
Yeah.
gonna lie.
Yeah.
Hey, Awilo, is he from Congo? Awilo Lokomba.
I think he's South
What's the song?
Awilo Lokomba. You know who that is?
Oh, Lokomba sounds like a
Congolese,
Congolese name.
yeah.
It's Congo?
So
Okay,
maybe.
yeah. Y'all don't even know who this is. Oh my God, I know more.
He's up and coming.
Okay.
The only
He's
thing
up
they
and
know is
coming.
Fally Pupa, right?
No.
Fally Pupa. They know
Name
Fally.
another one. Who else?
Who else? Give me someone else.
Wow.
Kofi.
Kofi.
Kofi Olumide, right?
Yeah.
Bayuda.
We struggling.
Yeah, you
Like,
know
let's
Bayuda.
not sleep on-
Papa Wimba. You guys
Okay.
know Papa
Papa
Wimba?
Wimba.
So the good
okay.
thing, music and what
No,
else?
but I will
Music?
say also even resilient. Like I think that Congolese, like, even when I went there too, and there, you see like the kids, but they still. I mean, I guess you have to survival, but they still go, they still try, they still fight. Even though I think, even though yes, Nigerians are everywhere, Congolese people are everywhere too. A lot of times they're just in the French-speaking circles, but
That's true.
find
That's true.
you'll find
It's two
Congolese
different
people.
worlds.
It's two
Yeah.
different worlds.
Yeah.
Because even when we went to a French school, elementary school, you'll see Congolese people
Well,
everywhere.
everywhere.
The
Yeah.
Cameroonese.
And then went to
Yeah.
English school after high school, you'll see more of like the English speaking Africans. But the Congolese people, they're there and they'll be everywhere where they have to survive, and they'll be the ones to start the process. Like they'll be oftentimes like the pioneers, So I'll say they're resilient, they're fighters, and on them l'ambiance, like
Yeah.
love of
Well,
life.
What did she say? I mean,
Like we
Patrick?
love like l'ambiance, like
We love life. We love
la joie de vivre.
the joy of life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Je comprends le français.
Okay, so
Y'all like my sister and brother. They.
okay. So speaking with Congolese accent, I want to hear it. Not the language, just a Congolese accent. I don't know. I know what Jamaican accent sounds like. I know what Kenyan. I know what South African, Zimbabwe,
Yeah, no,
Nigeria.
it's true.
But what does Congolese accent sound like?
In
English?
English?
No, just
In French?
English.
In
like
English, okay.
Like the
I-
way I'm-
but I
okay,
think
see,
we speak French, so it's-
the way I'm talking
Yeah.
like a Nigerian man with my accent. So I want you to talk like that.
hold on. Name the countries again that you hear the accent. South
Kenyan.
African, Kenyan.
Kenya, Zimbabwe, like
But
yeah.
Are they all English
Those are
speaking?
English
Yeah, it's all
speaking.
Oh, okay.
So if
okay.
maybe the
Oh, that makes
Congolese,
sense.
the
But they
French
still have-
speaking Congolese
they
will be
still have-
different than Cameroonese speaking or Senegal or Cote
Oh,
d'Ivoire.
she's trying.
No, that's true. No,
but we
that's
do-
a good point.
You
That's
know
a
what
good
I mean?
point.
Amongst
Okay.
the French
okay.
countries, we all have different
We have
accents.
accents
But
But you
in our
can't compare
Yeah.
to English.
Yeah,
Gotcha,
because we do have an
gotcha.
accent in English, but it's not like a constant. Like
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
that person's Congolese because you hear them speak English.
English,
In
wow,
French,
okay.
you'll be like, oh yeah,
Yeah, I could tell a Cameroonais
From an
speaking French
Ivoirien.
from an
She's really
Ivoirien.
yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
You know what I
interesting.
mean?
Like,
Yeah, no.
And
You
that's
opened my
something to-
eyes. That's
yeah.
true. Okay.
It's something to point
a good
out,
point.
and even something too. I mean, I know that this is digressing, but like an observation I've noticed too, like the French speaking thing. I think that's something to point out a lot when we talk about Congo, because even in terms of like development,
Yeah.
a lot of times like you'll see like it comes down to like languages. Like I don't know if you've noticed that too, where English speaking nations in Africa oftentimes are a lot more advanced, though they may have their turmoils and their struggles than the French speaking nations.
Yeah, French shit is dirty.
The French
The
colonies,
Belgium, the French colonies.
Yeah,
right?
French colonies, African countries have been
But I think
severely.
Ivory Coast is pretty good. I've
Yeah,
heard.
yeah, they are.
I heard
There's
that pretty good.
for the
Yeah,
most part though,
Yeah.
the English speaking nations are like a little
Shout
bit
out
more
to my
advanced.
Ivorians.
Hey, shout out. I think that's all the time we have today.
That's all the time, man.
Unfortunately.
I
Go
do
visit Congo.
visit Congo. Visit Congo.
African people showed up late as usual, so we have to cut it. No, short.
We gotta cut it short. But hey, once again, appreciate y'all for tuning in to the Culture Mindset Podcast. Kinsey,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, man. Appreciate it. Hey, shout out to where we at?
Indigo Studios.
Indigo Sky Studio. All
What's
right.
that?
All
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
appreciate
Thank you.
Bye.